All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 704 once again for episode 205 of the 815 Exchange. And well, listen, this is a little bit of a, I don't want to call it a debrief. We still got some stuff to talk about, of course, especially in the soccer world. How many penalty shootouts can we have simultaneously in both tournaments? I felt like every single game went to extra time, except for Colombia, they weren't rocking with that. But we'll talk about Colombia. All right. But yeah, we do have stuff to talk about there. Semifinals coming up. We have potentially the last NBA segment for a minute. Free agency heated up, so we will be talking about that. Of course, we got the Battle of Rook'S Rest and Entertainment. And that very controversial The Boys episode that we will be talking about. Ain't no party like a tech night party. So we do have that. We got Wimbledon going on. We got plenty to talk about, but still, I think it's a little bit of a debrief. It's a little bit of a debrief episode. MLB, segment returns, no NBA. Well, there is an NBA, but not like, games, NBA segments. So even though the Summer League did kick off, but I'm going to be honest, it's like the California Classic part of the Summer League. We're not going to discuss it, all right, because it's the first game. All right, relax, bunch of young players. So let's calm down on that. I did see some of them brownie takes, kind of crazy. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, as always, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content. By the way, went absolutely crazy, all right? Absolutely crazy. Y'all went crazy on 204, so I appreciate the love. So shout out to y'all. But yeah, as always, like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content. And as always, everything you're looking for can be found in my description. Timestamps, social media links. Timestamps also provided in the video embedded, as well as my social media links in the outro if you make it there, or if you just skip ahead, which, long form content. I get it. Do what you gotta do. Go to whatever segment you want to hear me talk about. But yeah. Y'all showing crazy love lately, so yeah, let's get this on the road. Let's get this on the road, though. Let's get this on the road. NBA. Yes, the NBA is kicking us off. Free agency is underway, along with, Olympic trial. By the way, shout out to the U17 team. Cam Boozer, AJ, Koa, just destroyed. Probably one of the best U17 teams we've ever had. Cooper Flagg reporting for duty for the select team. That's going to be interesting. But yeah, while that's all going on, we did have free agency kick off. And boy, oh boy, some of these agents cried happy tears to start off their summer. Cried happy tears. All right, so let's talk about it. DeMar, which is very funny to me. After all of the caping he's been doing for a big return to LA lately, for all that, just for him to go to Sacramento it's kind of funny to me. But you know what? The Kings don't go get DeMar. I think that's a good move for the Kings. Again, what did we say last week? The West is a bloodbath. It is. That is just how it is. There is like 12 of the 15 teams in that conference probably could be playing, or probably could be playoff teams. Like, make the regular 8, not even the play-in. But, it's too stacked. All right, it's too stacked. It's a bloodbath, so you're basically in an arms race. The Kings decided, you know what, we got to gear up with the mid-range merchant, the 90s player of the 2000s, in DeMar DeRozan. So, yeah, we'll see how Debo, should I say. We'll see how he does. We'll see how he does in Sacramento. I don't hate it. They send Duarte ends up going to Charlotte, I believe. Or, no, he goes to the Bulls. So, yeah, Harrison Barnes to the Spurs in this deal, which is, we'll talk about what the Spurs have done this year. Which, again, don't hate. Solid player, Harrison is. Nothing crazy. But, solid, not awful. But Duarte in 2 seconds plus cash to the Bulls. Very, very interesting. But yeah, that feels like very much so like, oh, yo, we needed a third team. We're just going to throw them a little something in there. We all know DeMar is the prize. So yeah, DeMar to the Kings. We'll see how that works out. I like the move, though, for the Kings, trying to get more bodies for the arms race in the West. One of the big moves. All right, there were 2 big moves. We're about to get to one of them. But the second one was the end of the Warriors dynasty. Yes, it is done. All right, y'all, we can breathe. We said it was done during the season, but we can really breathe because it is officially dead as the big 3 core. Chef, Clay, Dre, it's done. It's gone. As Klay Thompson is headed to Dallas for 3 years, what's that, $50 million. All right, 3 years, $50 million. Sign and trade sends Josh Green to Charlotte, which actually I like for Charlotte. Josh Green was a very solid young player for the Mavericks, so that, by all means, I think that's a really good, very athletic, very young, like I said, was hitting some good shots. I think that's a good pickup for the Hornets. Now, for the Mavs, Clay is what Clay is. All right, he's in a role. I don't hate it. In a role, I don't hate it. Some of those shots and those threes, though, of course, Clay had that famous 1 for 15 game this year. You know, you would expect that Klay Thompson in a role, not as like a star or somebody who's expected to be the guy next to, Kyrie and Luka, but as a role, a spot-up 3 guy, maybe, I don't know, he doesn't really play too much D anymore, but still in a role, I don't hate the move. I don't hate the move, and I think it was time for, unfortunately, even though that 11, as the Warriors have said, is getting retired, I think it was time. It's time for the Warriors to start, moving on and advancing. They had their dynasty, they had their era, but it has come to an end. The truth is it has come to an end. Clay was, of the 3 of Steph, Dre, and Clay was the most washed, not completely his fault, dealt with all the injuries that kind of really cut the run short, but I don't hate the move for the Mavs. Again, I just don't expect too much. Don't expect too much. If he plays a role, I think it could work out. Maybe an expensive role player. But, I don't hate the move, and I like Josh Green to the Hornets. So we'll see what happens. But, of course, the big move of free agency was, of course, Paul George to the Philadelphia 76ers, which I think was a fantastic move by the Philadelphia 76ers, who have dealt with nothing but pain and nothing but misery in the playoffs. All right, just a broken team. The process was broken, and they needed some rejuvenation. Now, PG talking about y'all done woke the bully up, he done heard all the talk. I don't know about that. But for the Sixers, if they want to, contend with the Celtics, they want to be that team that can battle and make the Eastern Conference, much less, win the Eastern Conference, but just make the ECF. Getting PG goes a long way. I will say getting PG goes a very, very long way. I like the move. We will see what happens. They get him for 4 years, $212, which is probably the going rate for, somebody the caliber of Paul George. But yeah, I like it next to Maxey, next to Joel. It could work. All right, it could work, and it could make the Sixers a contender, but we will see. All right, with the Sixers, they're one of those teams that is in that pocket for me where it's like, you got to show me. We've done a lot of talking when it comes to Philly. They got to show me on the court that, this big 3 or whatever we're calling the Sixers team, it's going to work. Because we've seen them trot players, and it's just failed. And time after time after time, the process is dead. It's time to make something happen. And PG, I think, can do it, but I got to see it to believe it. CP3 to the Spurs, okay? Chris Paul, the point guard. I actually like this move. All right, Pete, now listen. CP3 obviously is no longer, prime Hornet CP, not even, Clippers CP3. But as a playmaker, again, the Warriors thing, I don't know why they even made that choice and made that decision. That was never going to work. But to close out CP3's career and, him stop ring chasing and just kind of mentoring the next breed, his playmaking and his leadership, I think, could be really good for Trey Jones. And I think it could be really, really good for whatever guard, like Castle, whatever guards they get on this team to put around Wemby. And, of course, I think it could be very, very good for Wemby's development. I mean, we could go on and on about, and we talked about this when they drafted Castle, all of the missed opportunities, just the easy lobs, the easy, finishes they had with Wemby that they passed out because they didn't have anybody with that court vision. And, of course, CP3 is the point guard. He's the point guard for a reason. One of the greatest point guards to ever live. So bringing him into the table, I think he brings that ability to find Wemby and, help take that game to that next level. And, of course, bringing the experience, bringing that leadership, a guy that's played at a high level, played at a superstar level, I think is really good for those young players. So I really, really actually like this move for the Spurs. And I like it for CP3 as well. Detroit. Once again, as I said last week when they picked Ron Holland, no disrespect to Ron and no disrespect honestly to the Pistons, but, the facts are the facts. Even though they got Tobias Harris, respectfully, I have been in rooms that have more floor spacing than the Detroit Pistons. That is just a fact. Now, Tobias helps that out a little bit. He's a solid shooter. But guys, it's Tobias Harris in 2024. Let's calm down. I don't think that totally fixes the issue. It's not. He only takes 3 a game. Only takes 3 a game and only makes 1. I'm sure that's like 35, but it's not like a high volume. I don't know how much that really spaces or stretches the floor for the Pistons. I don't know if that really brings too much to the table for them, but, it's the move that they made. We will see what happens. Let's talk about some of these extensions because boy, oh boy, oh boy. Jason Tatum got half of Mbappe. Half of Mbappe. Yeah, the man got 5 years, $314 million. It's the richest contract in NBA history, easy. He's making 80 plus a year. By the way, shout out to Mom. She's the agent. So they keeping all that. they keeping all that, of course, after taxes, but they keeping all that. All right, shout out to JT though. All right, shout out to the Duke boy. We love it. But yeah, well deserved. He's a franchise cornerstone alongside Jaylen Brown on that team. So not surprising that Boston was going to play their guy. I found it very funny though that I don't know if it was their GM because that's what Brad, but I forget what the other like officer for the Celtics. It was like he was handing out all these big contracts and then he decided to leave because they also gave Derek White 4 years, 126. By the way, D White earned it. He earned it this year. So yeah, Celtics pay both of their guys. Paid him the big bucks. I think they are way over whatever the luxury tax or whatever it's supposed to be. But you know what? You win a championship with that core, you gotta keep him home. You gotta keep him home. So yeah, shout out to JT. Well deserved, but boy oh boy is that a lot of money. That wasn't it. That was not it. Spider got 3 years, 150, which again, well deserved. He is the franchise cornerstone for the Cavs. So yeah, I don't hate that deal for them. He's the guy. 50 mil. He's a superstar. He showed that I think in the playoffs. Again, they got a young team to an extent, but gotta keep building. There's a window of opportunity in the East, and yeah, the Cavs definitely are one of those teams that could definitely take an advantage of that. We will see what happens, but yeah, gotta pay Spider. They did that. They did that. You know who didn't do that? The Rockets. Yeah, they didn't max Sengun, which is very interesting. I think they're trying to wait, similar to what the Cavs did with Spider actually, and wait till after this contract, especially since it's his rookie contract, and then they're gonna max him next year. Because yeah, I don't know what else Sengun has to prove to that he's the guy. Jalen Green not getting maxed makes sense. He's got to prove it next year. But Sengun, I don't really understand, especially when the Orlando Magic gave Franz 5 years, 270. Now Franz is good. I mean, he disappeared in the playoffs, but Franz is good. But 5 years, 270. Franz better become a superstar. Respectfully, Franz better become a superstar. I understand the Magic are not one of these like high profile like free agent locations, but that's a lot of money to pay Franz Wagner. That's a lot of money. Not that Franz isn't good, not that he hasn't been one of the standouts from that draft, but that is a lot of money. But you got to keep your guys, so I get it. But yeah, Franz definitely got to prove his worth and keep developing and then become a superstar alongside Paulo for that Magic team because that is a lot of money to give Franz Wagner. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now listen. Okay, first off, massive spoilers. Welcome back to entertainment, by the way. But massive spoilers. I just finished watching House of the Dragon episode. Listen, get out. I'm begging you. If you have not, or you do not want to be spoiled about potential future events and what happened on this absolutely insane all-time great episode of just cinema, go. All right, go. Please, I implore you. Leave, okay? Leave. Skip ahead. All right, actually, don't leave the video. Just skip ahead, all right? Go watch me talk about the boys, all right? 3, 2, 1. All I gotta say, ladies and gentlemen, Aemon Targaryen. Aura. Okay? Aura. All right, where do we even start on this episode? Let's start with the Blacks. All right, Daemon and Harrenhal still getting haunted. We formally meet Alice in this episode. And just kind of seeing, the Alice Rivers situation. Daemon continues to see, visions of his past, whether that's, Millia's young Rhaenyra. We see Laena in this episode. He sees himself as Aemon, kind of playing into that mirror. So, yeah, Daemon still just kind of seeing all of the demons in Harrenhal and just going through it. Rhaenyra finally arrives. Jace is fired up. He's ready to get active. He also finds out about, the Song of Ice and Fire during this episode. Gwen Hightower continues to be a great addition, by the way, for the Greens. It just kind of is like a character to play alongside Kristen. I've loved that kind of dynamic and to see that back and forth. But ladies and gentlemen, we knew what this episode was. It was the formal beginning of the Dance of Dragons. It was the Battle of Rook'S Rest. And ladies and gentlemen, Meleys and the queen that never was but should have been, Rhaenys, went out like a G. All right, she went out like a G. The only way she could, she went out like a G. We also found out that, or I don't know if it was actually ever confirmed, by the way, in the books, but I guess Alan and Adam are in fact Corliss's bastards. So that was nice to know. But yes, Rainey, she goes out like a G, takes out, well, actually, no, she didn't. But she was going, she was battling with Aegon, who once again had been dealing with, a little bit of imposter syndrome to say the least. So he decides to ride out and join the battle, much to Kristen and his brothers just kind of like, why are you doing it? He called him an idiot Valerian. By the way, Aemon was getting licks back, but I'm going to talk about that. But yeah, Aegon pulls up with Sunfire. They go at it, and then Aemon Targaryen, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, he has been cooking this entire episode. After last week, that was the last branch. She said, I ain't doing this no more. Took over the meeting, had the better battle intellect in the war strategy, humiliated Aegon in the meeting, broke out the Valerian, said, you're not that guy. You are not him. You are really not him. Then he tells Vhagar, sit and wait. Let's see what Aegon's going to do. And then Aegon thinks that Aemon's going to save him. And what does Aemon do? Dracarys on Aegon and Sunfire, which, by the way, it was cool to see Aegon and Sunfire. I wish they'd explored more of that relationship. I get they got a lot of narrative to tell, but that's supposed to be a really massive bond. And we did get to see a little bit before he wrote out. But yeah, Aemon puts fire to his brother, takes him and Sunfire out, and then gets that one-on-one versus Melees. But ladies and gentlemen, Vhagar is simply unstoppable. Okay, Vhagar is Godzilla with wings. And unfortunately for the queen that never was and Melees the Fast, it was not going to happen. And Melees dies. Rhaenys dies as well. Vhagar continues to hit with these surprise attacks, which is crazy considering how big he is. But yeah, him and Vaemond are obviously it's different. All right, they're different. The monsters he's him. All right, it's crazy aura. And then he was about to take out his brother at the end. We don't know the fate of Aegon. We're going to find out next week. But yeah, just crazy aura from Aemon Targaryen in this clinical performance. Shout out to Ewan Mitchell. He has just been absolutely amazing. But yeah, what an episode. Crazy stuff. House of the Dragon, pure cinema. Probably one of the best episodes ever, all right, in any TV show. Let's talk about an episode that was very polarizing because, ladies and gentlemen, we had another episode of The Boys. And simply put, there ain't no party like a tech night party, all right? There ain't no party like a tech night party. And leave me off the list, okay? Please leave me off the list. This was a little bit hard to watch. Please, somebody just send Huey to therapy and just hug him for a really long time because he needs that. Got molested, to put it very blatantly, by both Tech Knight and by Ashley in this. Ladio was in a gimp suit, ended up helping out at the end. So yeah, that was just absolutely crazy and unhinged. Completely unhinged. Victoria, a lot of people got caught on that head pop, but of course she wasn't going to die. But we saw that kind of go through. Homelander folded under pressure, as he does, and then folded to Firecracker when she decides to be his mommy. As soon as she scored at the best milkman, folded like a lawn chair. So that happened. Sage got a bullet through her head. They didn't know that wouldn't kill her, but it did lobotomize her, so she was dumb for the entire thing. So Vicky had to carry. A-Train, I think, is cooked. All right, because I think Sage is going to figure that out. And then A-Train is dying. All right, all I know at the end of this season is A-Train is dying. He's cooked. It's over for him. And then, of course, the big reveal at the end was that Butcher was seeing things, which I kind of caught on, or started to kind of believe that theory. But yeah, Joe Kessler was not real. Blanked on Becca, and then he was just like, wait, what? And yeah, we found out that basically the man has been schizophrenic. So, yeah, Becca's been the angel, and Joe has been the devil on Butcher's shoulder, and now we will see how he moves with, of course, the potentially mutated tumor. So yeah, The Boys, honestly, it wasn't as bad as an episode as people say, but I will admit, even though it was still kind of in line, that stuff with Tech Knight was very, nothing against Tech Knight. That was a great character, but that was very rough to watch, which is what it should be. But yeah, The Boys, House of the Dragon, deliver as always. Nothing really happened in music. I will say, though, AJ Tracey dropped another single, Bubble Bath. Not quite on the level, of course, of, I'll say, like Wifey Rhythm, which was, of course, one of my favorite tracks last year. Or even, I mean, it might be on the level, I'd say, of like Joga Bonita, which he dropped earlier. But yeah, Tracey Stays Hot. You know, he's probably cooking up a project, so we will be looking at that. But yeah, Bubble Bath, it does get the cosign. And yeah, that's entertainment. House of the Dragon is cinema. MLB. MLB. The Yankees are, I don't know what happened last month, but I want to forget about it. I don't know what happened in the month of June to the New York Yankees, but I would like to forget about it and act like it never happened. It was nothing but pain and misery, and the only sign of any happiness as a Yankee fan that I had was Aaron Judge. Because the man is at 32 home runs before the All-Star break. By the way, most by a Yankee, even Babe. All right? Bonds had 40. I don't think he's going to get that, but, you know, Judge is looking like the best player in the world. Let's just call it what it is. We are on Triple Crown alert. Okay, he leads in RBIs, of course, leads in home runs, and he is third currently in batting average because Steven Kwan finally he passed the threshold to finally be available, and he is hitting 365. So credit to Kwan, by the way, because that's Luis Arias last year numbers. So yeah, shout out to Kwan, hitting 365. He's got some distance, but we are on Triple Crown watch. Aaron Judge looking like a monster. And the crazy thing is, I mean, he's still, even with these numbers, you would think, he's got to be MVP. But Gunnar Henderson is putting up some crazy WAR numbers, right? Gunnar Henderson, Bobby Witt Jr. Like, it's crazy in the East. Like, East MVP race is going to be one for us to watch throughout the season because, yeah, we got Witt looking like he is that superstar, that being the number one prospect you would expect to be. Same thing with Henderson, former number one overall prospect. He is looking like that guy. So, yeah, both young shortstops hooping. Aaron Judge is still, though, the best hitter in baseball. Wyatt Langford, speaking of young players that were rated very, very highly, he figured it out. Took a while, took some building up with the Rangers, but he has figured it out. Hit for the cycle this past week, has been mashing. So yeah, Langford looking really good for the Rangers. The MLB Draft, of course, however, is the headline event this week. And it's a big one. All right, it is a big one. Now, the MLB Draft is a little bit different. Not just because there's, 50 billion rounds, but, it's not as much like, you're picking for fit, but you're not as much of, picking for fit like you're going to insert this guy in like in the NBA or in the NHL or especially in the NFL. So there's a lot of kind of, who's the best player available in, maybe like a shallower part of our system. But there's a lot of just kind of best player available, and we got a really, really good draft because there was a lot of excellent college talent. We talked about it a little bit throughout the NCAA baseball segments that we talked about this year, but, quicker going down the line. And by the way, I'll read off the order, at least the top five. We've got the Indians, we got Cincy, Colorado, Oakland, and the White Sox. Those are five teams that, could really use some instant impact bats or an instant impact arm to go around and really kickstart their kind of rebuilds or join the young players that they already have. So 5 teams in big need, and we got a lot of really, really great college players that can make an instant impact, especially with their bats. Of course, Travis Bazzana appears to be the number one prospect. He is currently number one on the mock draft, so we'll see if the Indians do go that direction. But the Aussie looks to be the first Aussie to ever go number one in probably, I don't know, has an Aussie that Bogut, I guess, was Bogut technically Ben Simmons, I guess, counts for the NBA, but definitely hasn't been one in the NFL, and I don't think there's ever been an Aussie that's gone number one in the MLB. So yeah, one of the first Aussies, or very few, handful of Aussies to ever go number one in the major sports over here. So yeah, shout out to Bazzana, had a great year at Oregon State. He was a beast. Charlie Condon, of course, won every single Player of the Year award that you can possibly win because he went ballistic. All right, just an absolutely insane. Broke the home run record. Was a beast at Georgia. He looked like he was special. Cags, of course, has been one of the superstar players throughout the past 2 years that Cags has been popping off. He has been one of, if not the headline player, quote unquote, on the NCAA baseball front. Besides, I guess, Skeens and Cruz last year, it was Cags. So yeah. So brings some superstar ability. I think he's going to be a hitter. full-time when he gets to MLB. I think that's where his future is. That bat is special. His arm, while he can throw hard, is not necessarily on the same caliber, so I do think he will end up choosing, the bat. Similar to what Brandon Montgomery, another top prospect, did already in college. Came as a two-way player at Stanford, transferred to Texas A&M, focused on the bat, and now he is, here, even with the injury, looking at the top of this board. Nick Kurtz, I saw in person. He is the truth. He also plays defense for a first baseman. So yeah, I saw MLB called him Jim Tomei with a glove, and that's not too far off, honestly. But yeah, Montgomery, like I said, we do have some pitching arms that are probably the headline arms as well. Hagen Smith and Chase Burns can throw some heat. Led the country in strikeouts. Hagen Smith was a absolute monster at Arkansas. Had one of the lowest ERAs in the country. And for the high school bats, we do have Connor Griffin and Bryce Rainier, two young shortstops. So a lot of talent in this draft. Nobody I don't know. There's not like that generational talent. Very similar to the NHL draft almost, but except with college players. Which I guess somewhat you kind of had that in the NHL. It's a little different, but still I think a lot of high end talent, a lot of big time difference makers that could be stars in the league. Don't know if we have any generational talent, so to speak, but we got a lot of great players at the top of this draft, so it's gonna be very interesting. We'll talk about the rest of that though next week. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it. By the way, unofficial prime, I guess hydration break. If that's what we want to call it. But it's soccer. It's footy. And we're going to talk about Euros first. And then we're going to talk about what's happening here stateside. By the way, Copa America coming here Wednesday. But we'll talk about that. But like I said, we're going to start with Euros. Because every single game in world football this week went to extra time for some reason. So let's start it chronologically. Who would want to go first? Oh, what's that? The two best teams in Euros so far decided to square off because that's just kind of how it fell out. Spain and Germany. And it was probably one of the best games of the week. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Had the least amount of terroristic football, which, we will take. And it came down to the wire. Spain was up. Approaching that 90th minute, they were up, but got a little lackadaisical on that defensive side of the ball. Germany was cooking. All right, they were cooking. Kai Havertz should have made that chip. Fulcrum probably should have scored as well. But who else besides Das Wunderkind? Florian Wirtz. Acting like he's at Leverkusen. Honestly, it doesn't matter whether he's wearing a Leverkusen kit or a Germany kit. He's going to ball out regardless. Florian Wirtz does tie the game up in the 89th with a rebound strike because it had to be him. Sends us to extra time, and it looked like we were on the precipice of penalties in this great matchup between Spain and Germany to probably be whoever's the favorite to win this entire thing. But it's Mikel Merino who gets it done looking like his pappy in the 119th just before pins and breaks Germany's heart, retires Toni Kroos, and Spain advances. But they survived. Even though they won, they looked like the better team, yada, yada, yada. They survived, but they did not survive cleanly. They lose Carvajal on a red card. They lose Lenormand on 2 yellows. So both Carvajal and Lenormand, 2 major parts of their defense, gone for their next game against the team I'm about to talk about. Also, Pedri, again, don't know how Cruz didn't get carded, respectfully to the legend. But, Pedri sprains his knee on literally like the first 5 minutes of the match on a pretty bad tackle from Cruz. So Pedri's out. So that's 3 big names, right? 3 big factors on the Spain team, especially Carvajal and Pedri, of course, that are going to be out for next game. So yeah, they're favorites. They've looked the best, the most consistent, but I think that definitely changes things and opens up the window for the team we are about to talk about. France and Portugal went 0-0. We had Kylian Mbappe and Cristiano Ronaldo in this matchup. We also have Bernardo Silva and everybody else on the Spain and Portuguese teams. Antoine Griezmann, Colomani, like we could go on and on. Just so much talent. And nobody can score. Because Roberto Martinez and the champs are just, again, another football terrorist. It's bad. It's bad. It's hard to watch. But ladies and gentlemen, France continues to fall upwards thanks to the defense and vibes. All right, just defense and vibes. They have still yet to score a goal in open play. But they did win 5-3 on penalties with some of, they shut it down. They said there's no way we were losing this. They took Mbappe off. I was worried. They took Kylian off. He took a knock, messed up with his nose. He wasn't the same. He's been looking, again, it's the Euros. I don't know what it is, like Mbappe in League, Mbappe in Champions League. He's just this best player in the world, monster, best player of his generation. In Euros, it's just like depletion. Just an insane depletion of aura. I don't know what it is, but, injury, bad play. They take him off, which was interesting and dangerous, but it worked out. France came through and Pins got it done. CR7 is washed. All right, I love Cristiano. I honestly, probably throughout their careers, I dare say preferred him to Messi. Not saying that Messi is not the GOAT, because he is. But Ronaldo has come back down to earth. Okay, respectfully, he's come back down to earth. Not that I don't think he should have been selected for Euros, but he's washed. All right, I think this should be his last international tournament. This was the first one he's never scored in, so yeah, I think it's done. Okay, it's just over. Time to move on. I think Portugal will be better for it. Shout out to Theo Hernandez. He finishes us off. And yeah, Spain gets France. And honestly, normal circumstances with what France has, I would think, okay, Spain might be cooked, but I have no idea. Honestly, I have no idea. If France plays like France, they can win that matchup, especially with Carvajal and Lenormand out. But if France plays the way they have, then Spain definitely could pull something out and prove why they look like the favorites. But we will see. France continues to fall upwards. England also continues to fall upwards. This one was 1-1. All right, thanks to the star boy, ladies and gentlemen. But Mbola, beautiful goal, by the way. Beautiful goal. And 5 minutes later, Bukayo Saka said, you know what? I got Tolami in the stands. I got to cook. All right, if I had Tolami in the stands, I would be acting like Saka was in the last half of this game as well. But the star boy gets it done, ties it up, sends us to extra time. Of course, England can't score, so we are going to penalties. And all of a sudden, again, we'll talk about Copa, one of the worst penalty shootouts we've seen. Some of the best penalties, honestly, between England and Switzerland, some of the absolute best. Some absolute no nonsense, no joking around, no just smashing it. And listen, some great penalties. All right, in England, who have had a long storied history of failing in penalties, this felt like a little bit of a turning of a corner. Even winning in this fashion felt like a turning of a corner. So yeah, they came together, got it done. TAA, who came on late, does finish it off with an absolute, again, a beautiful penalty. And yeah, England survives to live. Southgate, survive in advance. That's literally all Euros is right now. For England and for France, it's just survive in advance. Southgate, the champs, should be have the hottest of seats, but somehow just keep making it work. So yeah, England gets it done. They advance in penalties. They go to the semis. Who will they be playing? It looked like it was going to be Turkey. Arda Güler continues to just be phenomenal. All right, the kid is a beast. He hit Akiidi in the 35th, and it was looking good. It was looking good for Turkey. But then Netherlands just, y'all seen that meme where somebody just looks forward. They got the game in hand, and you just lock in. Netherlands at the 70th minute when De Vrij scored that goal, just locked in. Just locked in and said, we're not going out like this. We are not going out like this. Gakpo gets robbed of a 4th Euros goal, which would have been very big for his Golden Boot aspirations. But Turkey gets credit for the own goal, which is what it was. But yeah, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. And Netherlands advances 2-1 over Turkey. And they will take on England, which, very similar to Spain. Netherlands look very, very good. England hasn't looked very good, but England has all the talent in the world. It's funny how the semis worked out for Euros. It's like the favorites, England and France, who have somehow, some way, despite playing terribly, have made it here, just basically off of pure talent. And then you have Spain and Netherlands, who have played the actual best in the tournament, and they're now here and probably should be the favorites. So yeah, very interesting. We're going to see what happens. But Netherlands does advance. They will take on England. Let's talk about Copa. All right, let's talk about Copa. Argentina. It was not a good week to be one of the great. For the two greatest players of this past generation, it was not a good week. CR7 goes goalless, like I said, gets bounced. And Messi misses another pin. What is going on? Like, what is going on with Messi? It's not. I'm not saying he's washed, but he hadn't been the Messi that we've become accustomed to. Even as he's faded down, hasn't been that same player. So yeah, a little bit of struggle there, but Emi Martinez is a different breed. Okay, that's all needs to be said. Emi Martinez, when it comes to penalties, is a different breed, and Argentina survives against Ecuador. 1-1, they get it done on pens thanks to Emi Martinez. Argentina advances to the semis of Copa America. Who will they be playing? Canada, the last North American team left because America and Mexico both, the moment was too big, piss running down their leg, shout out to Coach 30. But they go to penalties because, like I said, everybody decided to go to penalties this week. And Canada and Venezuela have one of the worst penalty shootouts I have ever seen in my life. It was atrocious. I honestly will only watch it for comedic purposes if I ever have to watch it again. But Canada does win the battle of attrition and penalties, and they get it done 4-3. Like I said, it was disgusting. It was ugly. There's nobody even of note. It wasn't even like I can really highlight the goalies. It wasn't good. It was just ugly to watch. But Canada advances, probably to get slaughtered by Argentina. But honestly, with the way the tournament's going, maybe not. Maybe not. We will see though. Colombia. I just got to give a shout out to Miguel, and I got to give a shout out to Leo upstairs. Because Colombia has been on one. Of any team in either tournament, they have played the best. Colombia has looked like the best national team on the planet through both Euros and Copa. Have, barred none, been the most impressive team. They absolutely destroyed Panama. They said, listen, everybody else going to extra time, everybody else going to penalties. Nah, we good. James Rodriguez thinks this is 10 years ago. I'm so serious. I haven't seen James play like this since 2014, right before the Real Madrid move. He is playing FIFA 13, James Rodriguez, fresh off of Porto. Has been on smoke the entire Copa America tournament. Has been the catalyst, and this Colombian team has looked dangerous. And in this game, James had 1 goal, 2 assists. So yeah, just dominant. He's been easily the player of the tournament. And very, 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 very impressive. Luis Diaz scores as well. They had 5 different goal scorers in this game against Panama. Colombia has looked dominant and has looked, like I said, bar none, the dominant team so far here in Copa America. Who will they be playing here in Charlotte on Wednesday? Who would they be going against? It came down once again to penalties. Yes, again, 0-0. Vinny out injured, so Brazil doesn't have him. Endrick has 1 successful pass, so we are going to penalties. And it came down to the wire. But ladies and gentlemen, Brazil, the moment was too big. And Ronaldinho, unfortunately, was right about this Brazil team. And maybe y'all were just a tad overhyped and maybe just not ready for the big moment. But Uruguay was. They didn't fold in penalties, and they get it done. Alisson Becker, by the way, gotta give credit. He did what he was supposed to do. Unfortunately, when you go down 3-1 on penalties, it is very hard to come back, and Uruguay gets it done 4-2. Again, injury gets shut down. Really, all of Brazil, they just got shut down. For all of the hype and going into this tournament, the Vinny Ballon d'Or, hey, this is a big time proving tournament for Brazil and their next generation. Ghosted, completely shut down by Uruguay. Now, Uruguay put a little extra stank, played a little, dirty, we can say. There was some commendable action definitely in this matchup. But, Brazil, very unimpressive in this game. Not that Uruguay was, but they got it done when it mattered in penalties. And like I said, they move on. They'll take on Colombia. Good luck, because Colombia is butchering everybody. But we will see. That is here in the 704. Maybe I can find my way to go. I don't know. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is soccer, and that is the end of Penalty Fest 2024. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that said, we have reached the roundup. And, of course, how else could we possibly start off the roundup but besides talking about what happened in F1 this morning? Sir Lewis is back, baby. Sir Lewis is back. What a week for England. Advanced, even though it was very disgustingly ugly. Advanced in Euros. George. By the way, it was a great Saturday for Mercedes. A wonderful Saturday for Mercedes. Kimi Antonelli wins his first F2 race. George is on pole. Lewis is second. And like I said, for Britain, First, you had England advance, and then you had a 1-2-3 with George, Lewis, Lando. So yeah, it started off all fine. Of course, it crashed out for George. He had a cooling issue, so unfortunately he had to retire out of his home race, which really sucks because he was on pole and honestly would have had a chance here at the end. But this was one of the best races, if not the best race of the year, honestly, so far. It was terrific, okay, and it showed. Each three podium positions and who finished in the podium, each showed why they are who they are right now in that moment. Lewis showed why he is a legend, right? Mercedes played it perfectly. Bono, Toto, they all played it perfectly. Lewis, when it was time for hammer time, he was able to unleash it and was able to get that 104th win and 9th win at Silverstone, which is a record, by the way. Breaks Schumacher's record for most wins at a single track. So yeah, Lewis wins his home race and returns to the top of the podium. It was very emotional, but yeah, very, very good for the GOATs, all right? Very, very good weekend for the GOAT. Second was Max. He ran down Lewis, almost ran down Lewis, but ran out of time. He did run down Lando. Red Bull just had a better strategy. And Max, again, even though he may or may not have had the fastest car this week, showed why he is the best driver on earth still currently. And yeah, he had the pace. He created the pace. Max looked like he was just hunting. All right, it was like he was hunting, but ran out of time. Showed why, again, he's the current champion. He's the leader. He's the king of the hill currently, even if Lewis is the GOAT, and showed why he is the GOAT. Max showed why he is, top of the food chain right now in F1. Lando showed why he is, again, he is going to be a championship level driver for a long time. McLaren showed why they're going to be a top team as long as they keep him in Oscar, but they did show the growing pains, despite the pace that they had and the fact that they did have the fastest car, probably bar Mercedes this week, and honestly, at certain points had the fastest car even over Mercedes. Mismanagement in strategy, not going with mediums for that last stint, instead going with softs, just completely botching Oscar's race. Showed why McLaren is not quite there yet, which is why Lando finished third. And why he was disappointed. But you know what? It'll come. All right, McLaren is building something very, very special, it appears. And yeah, they've been cooking. All right, they've been cooking. They've been the best team besides Mercedes, honestly, the past couple weeks. But yeah, this season continues to cook. Just continues to cook. A 6th different winner, and it gets to be Sir Lewis at his home race. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. What else happened? Hulk, another 6th place finish. If Hulk makes a podium, finally, this might be just pure cinema. All right, this season has been pure cinema. If Hulk somehow can find a way in his last season at Haas and he gets on the podium, then listen, one of the greatest seasons ever. But yeah, Hulk has been consistently good, so shout out to him. Please somebody fix. I don't know what Ferrari gave up for Monaco or what Charles, I don't know what they did for Monaco, but they need to reverse it because he's had all of the bad luck. It continued on here, and yeah, it's been nothing but pain. Speaking of Haas, they signed Esteban Ocon as he is leaving Alpine at the end of the season. He will be going to Haas next season and joining a rookie, Ollie Bierman, which again, very much so one of the worst kept secrets that Ollie was going to be taking over. But yeah, K-Mag is out of his seat, so we will see what happens there. But yeah, Ocon, kind of a tough matchup and a tough kind of partner to have as a rookie. But yeah, I guess we're going to find out if Ollie is really one of them ones. And, if he wants that Ferrari seat, he's going to have to earn it against, again, a very, very tough partner to have in Ocon. But we will see what happens. But yeah, what a great week at Silverstone for F1. Let's talk about boxing, because it was a very uninspired week. That's the best way I can put it. It was an uninspired week. Shakur Stevenson had a very uninspired performance at home. How do you get booed at home? How do you get booed at home? And honestly, I was out watching the fight. It didn't look that bad without the audio, but then I was in and out, and of course I was networking. We're just going to call it networking. But, how do you get booed at home? That's crazy to me. But yeah, Shakur once again cruises against Artem, and again, nobody wanted to see it, and apparently nobody wanted to watch it while they were watching it. So it's time for Shakur. If he wants to leave Top Rank, that's fine, or create his promotion, whatever. But it's time to face the other top dogs. No more of this, whatever contender, whoever is doing. No, fight the big names. If you want to get that, credit, and you want to be amongst the 4 princes since Ryan crashed out. And I guess is leaving his spot open for a year since he needs to go to lots and lots and lots of therapy. So yeah, Shakur wants that spot. He can take it, but he got to face, the other headliners at that 130 to 140, division. He got to step up to the plate now. No more of this. No more Artems. All right, we don't care to watch that. Diaz. I guess I have to comment on Nate Diaz beating Jorge Masvidal, which I guess was more interesting than Shakur. So, yeah, credit to Nate. But Nate's CTE clearly kicked in because he wanted to face Jake and Leon Edwards and still thinks he can be the best in the world, which is crazy. But you know what? I guess the high of winning for the first time in a long time, you'll say whatever. And again, it's Nate Diaz. His brain is probably mush. And not that Nate was the sharpest tool, but still very, very entertaining. Him and Masvidal. He won by majority decision. I don't know how y'all feel about that. Let me know if you thought Masvidal should have won. But yeah, Nate wins and then does Nate Diaz stuff. More interestingly, though, the rookies, man. What can I say? Caitlin and Angel might just got to share it at this point. They might just got to share it at this point. If y'all don't want to give it to one of them separately, just share it. I wouldn't be mad at it. Even though Angel, we'll talk about Angel. But let me talk about what Caitlin did yesterday against the best team in the league. Only 3 losses up to this point for the New York Liberty. That changed yesterday as the Indiana Fever get back into that AFC, back into the playoffs as they went 83 to 78. Caitlin had 19, 12, and 13. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the triple-double finally happened. And that is the first rookie triple-double in WNBA history. She joins the elite club of now 13 women that have ever had a triple-double, by the way, in the history of the WNBA. So, yeah, Caitlin doing Caitlin things. I feel like again, her assist numbers, by the way, if you look at these past, 4 or 5 games, have skyrocketed. She's going to mess around and lead the league in assists if this keeps up. Sorry, AT. I know you were not very happy about that proposition, but I said it during her time at Iowa. I was like, she's going to come over, and that playmaking is going to translate the fastest, and it's looking like it will. All right, it is looking like it will. Will not be shocked if she leads the league in assists this year because she's been on a different level lately with the playmaking. It's starting to click with her teammates. So, yeah, that's hitting another level. I feel like she's getting more comfy. She made the All-Star team. So, yeah, things looking up for CC. Angel Reese, again, has been on an incredible tear. And WNBA record, 12 straight double-doubles. She had 27-10 and 12-19 in her last 2 games, which is just ridiculous. Very efficient game alongside Kennedy Carter last time out. They're also playing today, so it might be 13 by the time you watch this. But yeah, Angel, 1 Rookie of the Month, well-deserved, breaking the double-double record. I got to give it to her. She leads the league in rebounds. So, yeah. I mean, she's translated even better than I thought. I thought she was getting a little bit disrespected, but I understood because of the lack of offensive bag. But, Angel has been a superstar tier player at every level in her career. And I think people just kind of underestimated, she was a beast at LSU. She was a beast in high school. She was the number 2 recruit coming out of high school. And I don't know. I just feel like people just kind of played that through the wayside, even though, as we can say, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Angel Reese at every level has had the numbers. So we really shouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I'm glad to see that a lot of people are like, yo, Angel can be a superstar in this league because that's what she's shown as a rookie. The offensive back can come, and you're seeing it develop as we see during the season. So, yeah, and she's in the right place with Teaspoon in Chicago. It's a perfect fit. So, yeah, shout out to the Barbie. She cooking up, Rookie of the Month. And, yeah, her and CC repping. She also made the All-Star team. It'll be very fun to see Caitlin and Angel play together finally, which is something they both wanted. So, yeah, that'll be cool to see. Wimbledon. All right, Wimbledon. Coco and Iga lost. Sabalenka's were not even in the tournament. So, yeah. The women's side, and Emma lost today too. So, the women's side is just up for grabs, pretty much. I'm going to be honest with you. It is up for grabs. Iga lost yesterday. Coco lost today. Emma lost today. Rybinka is still, Rybakina, she's still alive. So, I guess she's the favorite. But, yeah, we've got some chaos going on the women's side of the tie. The men's side, it's just been the top dogs, but they have been giving all of the drama. Carlitos continues to just be again, 5th set Carlos is a different breed. That TFL matchup was probably very stressful for a Carlitos fan, but it was a very good matchup. But 5th set Carlitos is a different breed. That is all that needs to be said, though. Shout out to Francis, because it looked like Big Fo got a little bit of his swagger back, which I love to see it. I love to see it. It's been a rough time for him, but he looked like he got back in form. Even in a loss versus Carlos, and looked like he got his form back. So yeah, Carlitos bringing the drama. Janik also bringing the drama today versus Ben Shelton. Ben, had that third set on his racket, but couldn't get it done. Janik showed great form, and again, Carrot Boy continues to keep cooking. He's the #1 player in the world for a reason. Noel is, arguably the GOAT for a reason, and despite the injury, he is still cooking up. Again, not been easy for him by any means. He's lost way more sets than usual, and I think against a high-level player, we could see this all come crashing down. But for now, Noel's been cooking. Andy Murray officially has played his last match overall, potentially, but definitely his last match at Wimbledon. Played it with his brother this past week, and that was it. Was supposed to play with Emma, but Emma, of course, was moving on in singles and might have made a run, but she lost today. So, yeah, unfortunate timing there. But Andy did play his last game. Shout out to the legend. But, yeah, Wimbledon heating up. We'll talk about how it finishes next week. And NASCAR, I guess, is going on right now. SVG is winning, for those that are wondering. We won't know who wins. I won't be able to talk about that. But SVG, again, is looking like the road course monster that he is supposed to be. So we will see what happens. They're in Chicago right now. So shout out to everybody from NASCAR, all my people that are in Chicago right now. I know that's becoming a big race for them. So yeah, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for episode 205. I hope you guys enjoyed. Without further ado, Ocho signing off.